1st of December, 1941. Loudoun Castle in Ayrshire, Scotland, was about to be handed over to the War Office, its 90 rooms used as a billet for troops. But the castle somehow caught fire, was quickly reduced to ruin, and was left alone and uninhabited for 50 years. It is mostly remembered today for its theme park, rising from the ashes of the old castle like a beacon of hope. But even that has long since gone, taking the old innocence of childhood summers with it, like dust scattered in the wind. What really happened here? And why does it seem like it was all never meant to be? This is the sad story of Loudoun Castle. Loudoun Castle was constructed in the 19th century, built on the remains of a long-forgotten 15th century keep, a place which even then saw more than its share of misfortune. It was destroyed by the Kennedy clan in an act of revenge led by the Earl of Cassilis, was rebuilt and extended by the Chancellor of Scotland, John Campbell, then almost destroyed again during a siege in 1650 by General George Monk on behalf of Oliver Cromwell. Finally, it was rebuilt as the home of Countess Flora Muir Campbell in 1804, with 90 rooms, a large and imposing tower, and a 100-foot-long regal library with over 11,000 volumes inside, all lost when the castle was destroyed again in 1941, where after the fire it languished for more than half a century in silence, home only to nesting birds, nettles, and the faint suggestion of a ghostly figure, spotted by some drifting by unaware of the ruins around her, like a memory caught in the cobwebs of time. And so it stayed until 1993, when the castle and land was purchased by London-based company Lands Improvement Holdings, who set to work on transforming the area into a brand new theme park for Scotland, amusingly dubbed Mackleton Towers by local newspapers, and likely inspired by that famous Staffordshire Park, which is also centred around an old and ghostly ruin. After 2 years and £2.5 million of development, the park opened in April 1995 with the slogan, "Scotland's best new family amusement park." It was initially a success, and in the first months of operation, over 6,000 guests entered the park, collectively taking over 14,000 rides on Loudoun Castle's signature carousel, which at the time of opening was actually the biggest of its kind anywhere in Britain. There was also a small log flume called Logger's Leap, a petting farm, live shows, and of course a focus on the historical setting of the castle ruins themselves, with even a walk through beautiful Bluebell Woods dubbed as part of the appeal of this new attraction. The star of the park, though, was Thunderloop Express, a visually impressive looping roller coaster which had originally operated at Dreamland Margate under the name of Looping Star. It must have been quite something to see it for the first time, to witness this once quiet corner of Scotland transformed, rising from the ashes into something new and exciting, something very different from what Countess Flora could ever have imagined when she first strolled on its flowery lawns. It was not that out of the ordinary for Loudoun, though. The original castle was no stranger to displays of excess either, Lady Campbell had, after all, displayed in the hall the sword of William Wallace, stunning visitors and reminding them that Wallace had a family connection with the original castle on the site. Now though, that glimmering sword had been replaced with a different kind of tourist draw. A steel giant that took firm hold of the imaginations of thousands, and left riders with no doubt that for theme park fun and memory making, all roads now led to Loudoun. It was not to be, however, and despite over 220,000 guests coming into the park in record year 1997, Lands Improvement Holdings reported mounting and unsustainable debt. Loudoun Castle was put up for sale, and for a time at least, was closed. Was it all a mistake? A short-lived but beautiful dream, fading away almost as soon as it is born. Thankfully, the park was saved by local showman Raymond Cardona, who purchased Loudoun Castle in 1998 and began work on bringing it back to profit and growth. The Cardonas were no strangers to the theme park world, having opened Aberdeen's Cardona's Amusement Park in 1969, as well as being a well-known and long-standing part of the world of circus and travelling fairgrounds. Under Cardona's management, various fairground rides were installed at the park, and most notably, the Thunderloop Express was removed, replaced with the somewhat less impressive Galaxy, relocated from the Cardona's Aberdeen Park, as well as the family favourite, the Wacky Worm. Despite this, Loudoun Castle continued to struggle, and after only 4 years of managing the site, Raymond Cardona retired from the amusement park world, and the park, which by 2002 had seen visitor numbers drop sharply with each passing season, was once more put up for sale, this time with a price tag of £1.25 million. What was to become of Loudoun Castle?
The history, the rides.
For me, it's the best day out in Scotland.
And I really love saving pounds by booking online.
In 2003, Loudoun Castle was purchased by Henk Bemboom of Parkware Limited, who along with his brother had previously owned Dreamland Margate and ran it under the name of Bemboom Brothers White Knuckle Theme Park. In the first year of his management, Bemboom invested over £5 million into Loudoun Castle, followed by a further £2 million the following year. Cardona's Galaxy ride was removed, replaced with the Twist and Shout, a very similar coaster to the Thunderloop Express, and another ride with a long history of relocation, having started its life at OK Corral in France, moving to Ocean Beach in Rhyl, then to the Camelot theme park in Lancashire, to Dreamland Margate, and then to be the star of Loudoun Castle. A variety of other rides followed suit as well, all relocated from other parks and placed at Loudoun Castle to form a portfolio of around 25 rides for every age group, making it finally look the part of the theme park it was always imagined to be. There was more too. The mascot for Loudoun Castle was taking centre stage.
Hello, I'm Rory, the famous lion of Loudoun Castle. Come and join me for a great day out.
Loudoun Castle is now one of the best family theme parks in Scotland, with new rides, new entertainment and a new Pirates Cove.
Aha, me hearties and shiver my timber.
Rory the Lion was to be a symbol of the park's fun and family-friendly image. A perfect logo and brand for advertising, merchandise and shows. A ringleader of events around the park, where Rory and the gang could be found entertaining young and old on every day that the park was open. In this kind of simple fun and joy, one can find the true spirit of the theme park experience, the personification of rapture and rejoicing, of summer amusement, and of well-earned rest from toil and trouble. Mascots like Rory are really rather wonderful, for in them the theme park is given a face, and we always remember his welcoming song and dance, his friendly encouragement to live it up and have some fun, for a day out is a short thing and must truly be savoured. Surely, however, one of Ben Bom's most iconic additions to Loudoun Castle, even more so than Rory the Lion, was the plough. This visually stunning ride, advertised as the largest chair-a-plane ride in the world, was built by German manufacturer Schwarzkopf and was one of only 2 such rides constructed. Originally known as Apollo 14, and consisting of landing pods moving up and down like a Ferris wheel. They were built with the travelling circuit in mind, but were moved to Pony Park in the Netherlands, where one of them was converted to a chair-a-plane. One of these rides came to Dreamland in the 1980s, before moving to Yorkshire's Lightwater Valley, where it operated under the name of Orbiter, and then finally moving to its ultimate home at Loudoun Castle. It was family-friendly and fun to ride, a perfect fit for a park like Loudoun Castle, and its bizarre and otherworldly design was enough to create an instant landmark for visitors to the park. The plough was not the only new ride in the park either, and in fact, Ben Bom continued to invest in bringing over new attractions with every season that the park opened. And in 2006, a year after the plough arrived in the park, every one of his remaining rides was moved from storage at Dreamland Margate to Loudoun Castle. Visitor numbers were still a long way from their 1997 peak, but were ticking upwards, and on track to meet Ben Bom's goal of 175,000 guests, a number that would still not bring large profits to the business, but would secure its sustainability and allow for it to remain open and, crucially, continue to expand. Unfortunately, however, Loudoun Castle was about to be struck by tragedy. On the 15th of July, 2007, 18-year-old ride operator Mark Blackwood was operating the Rat, a wild mouse roller coaster, which was brought into the park in 2005. It was his first day on this particular ride, and he was shown the ropes by ride supervisor Gary Erskine. On the morning of his shift, a ride car got stuck on the tracks, and despite being told to phone for maintenance in such an event, Blackwood entered the ride area to push the car, having seen that this was all the engineers did when he'd seen them called out previously. When the car was pushed, it started to move, and Blackwood slipped, holding on to the ride car as it continued to climb the lift hill, before eventually he lost his grip and fell. He was taken to Cross House Hospital in Kilmarnock, but died the following day. The results of this heartbreaking and dreadful mistake were a turning point for Loudoun Castle. Local newspapers feeding as they do on tragedy and misfortune, soured the reputation of the Scottish theme park as a place of safety and joy, and people believed that soon it would close once again. Benbohm did not reach his goal of 175,000 guests, finishing the season with a modest 155,000, a figure not enough for the park to maintain its sustainability, despite outward signs of investment continuing, such as the new Barnstormer Tower ride, relocated from Southport Pleasureland. In 2009, the park was found not guilty of failing to provide training for the operator who died. But by then, the damage had already been done, and as attendance figures continue to fall, plans to extend the park with log cabins and retail developments were stalled. September 2010 was the final month that Loudoun Castle would open. It was the best September on record for the park, with visitors returning after a wet summer which had caused an abandonment of outdoor attractions. But even so, when the park closed at the end of the month, it would be for the final time. According to Benbohm, who announced its closure in October 2010, the park was no longer economically viable to run, citing that he could no longer see any long-term prospects for its growth, and there was little point in continuing to struggle for another season. The rides would be put up for sale, the land assessed for redevelopment, and Loudoun Castle theme park, after operating for only 15 years, would close forever. And so it stayed, as silent and still as the ruins it was built around, empty now of the laughter and the joy, of those precious little moments so kindly given and truly cherished. And it was just as before. The castle left all alone after fire destroyed it, and now its new life as a theme park abandoned in the same way, leaving cold and cracked pavements where once our feet so happily skipped along, our eyes set on the wonders of the day. If Loudoun Castle ruins were haunted by grey ladies of past prosperity, then the sad remains of its theme park must also be haunted, but this time by the golden-tinted memories of summer, of happy shows and gentle mascots, and of old family photographs fading away like a dream. The rides in the park grew old and tired, and the summers came and went without word or whisper of those happy faces of yesterday, who once gathered here with their friends and sweethearts, stayed a little while, and vanished, never to return again. Since the day that Loudoun Castle closed, and some of the rides were sold and moved away, it has remained undeveloped and fenced off to the public, with little success in any attempts at redevelopment. In 2013, a scheme was launched to develop the site into a 5-star hotel and luxury golf course, spearheaded by local company Vicon UK. But these plans amounted to nothing, and the project was scrapped after only a short period of time, despite extensive discussions with local communities. 2014 saw something more promising, with a £450 million master plan announced for the site, this time staying closer to its roots as a leisure destination. Under these proposals, dubbed the Loudoun Castle project and led by Chairman David Mace, the park would become a large holiday resort with 450 luxury lodges, sports facilities, swimming pools, and to top it all off, a full restoration of the crumbling castle ruins. It all looked promising, with the group formed as a consortium of investors including heritage consultant Francis Shaw, investment firm EIF, and construction consultants Turner and Townsend, all coming together to make it happen. Eventually, however, the project was rejected by East Ayrshire Council in 2019, a move then backed by government ministers who viewed the full proposals, which also included the building of over 1,000 new homes on the site, as unacceptable. According to them, there was no guarantee that this project would enable the castle to be restored, and the large-scale housing development would in fact have an adverse effect on the heritage of the area. Councillors welcomed the rejection of the plans, claiming that their own preference was always for development firmly planted in the tourist sector, with only minimal construction of a residential nature. All interested parties were invited to bring forward their own proposals for the abandoned theme park. At the time of making this documentary, however, nothing further has emerged, and Loudoun Castle remains empty and forgotten. Almost everything has now gone from the site, with some of the original rides finding new lives in other parks, such as the Rat, now operating under the name of Captain Jack's Wild Mouse at Eiffel Park in Germany, or the original Thunderloop Express, now called Gwazi, and running at a theme park in Botswana, known as Lion Park Resort, a name surely to get the approval of Loudoun mascot Rory. The plough, however, remained at the park for many years, growing gradually old and fading away, a symbol of the short-lived pleasures of Loudoun Castle, the moving and magical spirit of the theme park, and all of the stories such places can tell. In 2024, it was finally removed from the site, and as of today, is still listed for sale. Perhaps one day, Loudoun Castle will rise again, taking on another new life in the shape of something very different and equally as wonderful. Perhaps we shall once more walk amid its grand and crumbling walls, passing through the ghosts of old memories now lost, and making new ones. But until that day comes, it shall continue to sit in the solitude of passing years, all traces of what remains covered over in long grass, winter rain, and the faint remembrance of things past, carried on the breeze like an old and beautiful song.